Hello, everyone, and hello, Indre. Thank you for joining me today on our personal finance session. Unfortunately, it did not work out live on Instagram, but it will still be on IGTV on Instagram. Yeah, and on YouTube. So, Indre, if you can introduce yourself quickly and tell us about how you got into helping people managing their personal finances, please.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all, and apologies for the bad connection. Like that's what happens. You can't have it all. You either have the beautiful weather and no connection, or the other way around.
Yes, that's true.
So, for those of you who don't know me, so my name is Indre, and to be honest, I've spent my entire career in finance and specifically personal finance and private wealth management. I started off by working at one of the big banks at Morgan Stanley long, long time ago. I spent 8 years over there working with wealthy individuals, helping them manage their money and manage their wealth. And I always had this little voice in my head that I really miss the women in the whole kind of investing world. And I sort of always felt that women are very reluctant to talk about money in general. So when I left Morgan Stanley, I decided that it was time for me to, really kind of take my experience, take my education, and start making a difference, not just the money.
Yeah, that makes
Even
sense.
myself, I actually went through a personal growth kind of as well. I wasn't very good with money to start with, and it took some work and some time to get there. And that's when I thought that, what, it's so important to get as many women as possible thinking about their personal finance, doing something about it, saving, growing their wealth, earning more money. We deserve it. So, and I honestly really believe that the world really needs more wealthy women who can put their money to good use. Wealth
Yeah.
is a good thing, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. So, yeah, that's how I basically got into it.
Cool, cool. I love it because I spent quite a few years also working in investment banking myself, and I was not in the front office. I was at the back office, and I obviously, although I'm surrounded supposedly by all of this money and all of these money ideas, I had no idea what to do about my own money, right? About my how to actually improve the situation about my finances and how to go about how to approach it. And I never thought of myself as I would become wealthy one day because I thought it's for other people, but not for myself. And I think this is the true perception a lot of women have
Yeah,
because they think, okay, you need to be either born rich or have some connections or whatever.
absolutely.
Yes, yes. So nobody really believes that it can be up to them to decide to become wealthy. Okay, yeah, that's an amazing mission you've got. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my first question, therefore, would be: so, what are your top 3 to 5 tips in terms of managing our private personal finances? Yes. So, what would you say needs to be in place for us to
Yeah.
say, okay, I know that what I'm doing here, right?
Yeah. So, by the way, if you see me looking down or to the side, it's because I did make some notes to
Yeah.
not
Good.
talk
Good.
too much. But
Mhm.
yeah, I really kind of came up with 5 sort of main tips that I share with my clients that I work one to one, or if you follow my Instagram, you'll keep hearing about this over and over again. So
Yeah.
the first and most important part is to know where you are. So
Mhm.
what do I mean by that is like really following your income and expenses and
Mhm.
understanding how much you have coming in, how
Okay.
much you have going out, and where it's all going, because it's like with everything. If we want to get to somewhere, we need a starting point.
Yeah.
Second thing is definitely figuring out where it is that you're going. And what I mean by that is really setting your goals. It's very, very important. We set our goals in life in general. Quite often January is a big thing for setting personal goals. We have fitness goals, we have business goals, but we tend to forget our financial goals. These are very important as well because
Yeah.
it will help you plan out how you're going to get from point A to point B. Point A being where you are, point B being where you want to get to. And I normally categorize goals into 3 categories, which is the next 12 months, 3 to 5 years, and 5 years and beyond. Obviously, it can be a little bit tricky to have the exact goals, 5 years onwards, but it's good to have an idea of what you're trying to work towards. So I always say to everyone, take a blank sheet of paper, sit down and really think about it. What it is that you want in the next 12 months, quantify your goals. It might be going on a luxury holiday. It might be buying something nice for yourself. It might be, saving for a deposit for a house. There can be a number of different things, but it's important to spend the time to really, really think about your goals. Third one is really, for me, is like save, save, save. And when I
Yeah.
talk, I'll mention it later. When I talk about saving, I don't necessarily mean that you have to completely give up on your entire life and start saving. There are ways to still maintain a lifestyle and save. And
Okay.
I always say you should have two different savings pots. One is for your, what I call, rainy day fund, emergency fund, whatever you call that. And one is your investing fund. So the
Okay.
rainy day emergency fund, what you need to try and get to, you want to build that up to have at least, I would say, a minimum 6 months worth of your expenses, but ideally your aim is to have 12 months worth of expenses in that pot. That way you can really relieve some of your financial
Yeah.
stress, and you know that if something like, for example, COVID-19 was to happen and you lost some of your income resources, you're okay for 12 months.
Yeah.
And
Makes
then,
sense.
the second part is investing, because that's how you grow your wealth, by putting your money to work hard for you. That's the way to kind of get to the wealthy stage.
Yeah. Okay.
The fourth tip is really what I borrowed from Robert Kiyosaki, is building assets versus liabilities. So what do I mean by that is that you really want to have things that are assets, and you want to reduce your debt as much as possible. Again, I'm not saying that you should give up on everything and anything, but debt reduction should be in line with you putting money away for saving. And then finally, the fifth one is, use budgeting. That's how you can actually achieve all these different things. You can maintain your lifestyle that you have. You can put some money away into debt. You can into paying off debt, and you can put some money away into saving, whether that's for, emergency fund or investment fund. And it's just about being smart with it, honestly. And I think you're the perfect example who's doing it very well.
Yes, yeah, I love my spreadsheets. I am natural in
Exactly.
them, but a lot of people probably are not. So if you have some suggestions in terms of how do you manage it all, because all of the things you said, it's quite a lot to look after. So what are the best
Yeah.
practices? Obviously, every time you don't want to be writing it down from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a spreadsheet lover as well,
Yeah.
for sure. So I love those, and I share them with all my clients as well. But I think at the moment, there are so many, with the new banks, for example, Monzo and Starling Bank are fantastic for giving you the tools to help you achieve a lot of it. So
Yeah.
over
Okay.
there, you can set up budgets with notifications. You can automatically also set up saving pots as well. So it's actually, if you have one of these accounts, it becomes pretty easy to do it, because it's all right there in the app. And it's just about probably spending, in the beginning, spending quite a bit of time setting it all up. But then once you have it all set up, then it works quite quickly. And it's just,
Okay.
a matter of kind of spending a little bit of time each week updating things, putting things in, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, that all makes sense. So, following up on that a little bit, I know for a lot of people it might be the actual fear and doubts that are stopping them from looking at their financial
Yeah.
situation, because maybe they're afraid what they will find there, so they don't want to exactly, because they know they've got some debt, but it's better just there is some direct debit going into that debt, and then they don't want to be looking at those numbers on a spreadsheet because it might be scary. So have you got any ideas in terms of shifting your mindset and how to approach this, like from a mindset point of view?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, mindset is a huge thing, right? And that's what I think is the beginning, kind of changing around your mindset. And one thing that works quite well, and that worked well for me, is kind of digging a little bit, into yourself, and seeing what are the negative things that come up for you when you think about money, whether that's how, you've been taught when you were a kid, what is that stopping you from looking at your account. And again, look, I'm such a huge fan of pen and paper, so I always say take a blank piece of paper, a pen, and start writing things down. Start seeing what comes up for you in terms of negative connotations when it comes to money and wealth. If you think like things, for example, like, oh, I have way too much debt, or, probably things like, oh, being wealthy is just not for me, or I'll be broke forever, that kind of stuff. Write these things down, but again, spend time, think about them, write them down, and then try and replace them with a positive, kind of with a counter positive. So if you're saying, oh, being wealthy is not for me, I'm just always going to be broke, swap it around and say, you know what, I'm done being broke. From here onwards, wealth is my goal. Or if you're saying something along the lines of, I'm too, I have too much debt, kind of think about it. Okay, there's no thing as too much. I can pay it off over time, and then I'll be free of it. Just kind of thinking of everything that you have negative about it, how can you turn it into a positive way to think? And then it's just about being very conscious when these negative thoughts come into your head, recognize them. And again, I use pen and paper journaling. So put it in your journal, physically crop it over, and write down the counter positive that you've come up with, and just repeat it to yourself. And over time, just that's how our brain works, because most of this stuff happens subconsciously. Our conscious is probably only about 10%. Everything happens subconsciously. So once you get into a habit of doing it, one day you'll just realize that you stop having those negative thoughts, and that you've completely replaced them with the positive ones.
Okay, yeah, I do like this idea. Especially, I do work with people on limiting beliefs in other areas of life, but not so much in the money mindset. And I like what you say, like physically actually like crossing it and just writing down what you want, because people don't realize that thinking is also a habit, right? So if you got used to thinking this particular way about money, and you will be always be thinking about it this way, and therefore your reality is not changing. Okay, great, great. Okay, so the next question I've got for you is about the future. So how do we plan for the future, and how far do we really need to plan? Obviously, depending on our age, but I know as you get older, you probably should have planned already far in advance, but do you have any kind of guidelines
Look,
on this?
I think there are, exactly. I would say there are several different stages of that. Because so first of all, you should always plan for the future, which is retirement, from pretty much day one. And I know it when we're young, and I was the same. When I was young, it felt like retirement. What? Oh, by then, I'm going to be a millionaire. Who cares about retirement? I don't need retirement. But you never know what's going to happen in life. And to be honest, this is the thing. The earlier you start, the more you're going to have at the end. It's the one of the wonders of the world, the compounding. Because if you start today by growing that money and then growing it on top and on top, you'll just end up having way much more. So it doesn't even matter if you start with very little. The important part is to start. So I think retirement should always be in your thoughts. And when I talk about savings, I keep savings away from the pension and retirement. That's a whole other area and a whole other savings spot. So that should always be part of your thoughts and part of your plan. The next one is, I already mentioned, when you set your goals, you kind of look at the next 12 months, you look at the next 3 to 5 years, and 5 years and beyond. So naturally, the next 12 months is probably where you want to spend the most of time planning what it is that you want to achieve and adjusting, your expenses and your savings accordingly. The next on the agenda is 3 to 5 years. These are probably, you're not going to be able to plan out the little tiny things, but these are the bigger plans. Like for example, yourself, you want to buy a holiday home. That's something you need to plan for. That doesn't just happen like that.
Of
So
course.
these kind of bigger moments in life you want to be planning. I mean, naturally, you plan for a family. People, think about having a family in the future. Well, you need to kind of think about the financial implications of that, and probably again start a little bit earlier. If you already have children, planning for their future as well, it's something that you should be thinking from the minute they're born, because there are different ways that you can set up savings for them. And then, as I already mentioned, savings, that's your part of your planning for the future as well. The rainy day, the emergency fund, your investment fund, that's basically planning for the future. So you should always think about what's going to happen in the future. It's not going to be possible to plan it exactly.
Yeah.
But that's where things like savings, pension, investing comes into place, so that in the future you remove the financial anxiety and the stress that it causes you, because you're all set, you're good to go.
Yeah, totally. Yes, yeah, it probably links very closely as well with planning for the future in general, because a lot of people just go with the flow with life. But then if you have like real goals, something tangible, then you know that this goal most probably will be connected to some kind of financial goal, because you would need some money for that. Even if it is a child, having a child is a goal. Children are really expensive these days, right? Yeah, okay, great.
When
Yeah.
you live in London, absolutely, yeah.
Well, in London, it's crazy, yes, yeah. So in terms of investing, so you mentioned saving for the future, and I imagine I recently started investing, as you know, myself, and it's still kind of wishy-washy topic for myself, just trying to understand it all. And I know a lot of people are concerned about it, because it seems like investing is only for rich people. So if you've got money which you cannot like lose, so you don't want to be investing, right? So complete beginners, what would you say would be the first couple of steps for them to look at?
Like, look, I am a huge believer that anyone can invest. These days, with the technology advancements, with the availability of different platforms, you have 20 quid, you can bloody invest that for sure. But I would say the first step is, it's really, as I say, separating your rainy day savings from your investment pot. Then I would say probably the easiest step is, I assume most of the audience is UK based, is really utilizing your tax efficient vehicles, and specifically the ISA. So that's the individual savings account, because you have quite a large allowance for that. Is 20,000 in this current tax year, and you can really utilize that so easily. You don't even necessarily have to think about a bunch of different investments, buying shares and bonds and things. You could look at something called mutual funds that already have everything in it. And there are great platforms, for example, like Hargreaves and Lansdowne or AJ Bell, that really allow you to, you open up an account, you can quite easily choose the investments. They're quite good at explaining what's what, So I would say starting with your ISA is the best way. And then slowly, as you get comfortable with it, you can go into other things. Some other that I can mention is Moneybox is great. Again, they give you a very good explanation on what your options are within the different funds, so that you understand what you're going into. TICKR is another one that promotes ethical and impact investing. So if you care about that, again, they put your money into different funds, so you don't have to pick each and every single investment. So I always say starting with these is a good way to start, because you get the feel for it. You can see, how you react to things. when things go up, when things go down, how are you feeling about it all? And then slowly, step by step, you can look at other options as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's great. I definitely can say it did help me to just start, with a little amount of money and then just see how I feel, exactly like you say, because I saw my investments, they were going up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, I'm great. And then the next day, boom, they crash again. And I was like, okay, I need to live through this. And I'm sure at some point they will be more or less at least even, but at least I know that.
Exactly. It's about getting comfortable with seeing those ups and
Yeah.
downs and kind of not freaking out. And I think with time you realize that okay, it just happens. That's part of investing. But I know where I'm going, right? So I have my goal in
Yeah.
my head. I know I don't need this money for the next 5 years or something. So I know I can leave it there. And then, at the end of 5 years, you will be happy you didn't touch it and you left it there, and then you will see the benefit. So yeah, like I
Yeah.
agree with you. The important step is to start.
Yeah, totally. Like with everything, right? Achieving any goal in life is to
Exactly.
start. Yeah,
Exactly.
makes sense.
Exactly.
All right. So in terms of obviously like our income, yeah. So you said knowing where you are. So most of us would have maybe one income stream,
Yeah.
yeah, from either job or business. So have you got any ideas about alternative streams of income? Maybe something which people can easily organize on the side as a side hustle, and then have some security money
Yeah.
coming in. Mm-hmm.
So there's so many, actually, there's so many possibilities in that. So naturally, main source is always, as you say, either the job or the business. There are ways to kind of generate passive income in the sense that you could even utilize things that you already have to generate yourself an income. So it's not going to be a lot, obviously, that's not necessarily going to make a huge difference. But,
Yeah.
there are even things like platforms where you can rent out your clothes or your accessories. So, especially if you work in the corporate world and you have some really nice high-end accessories or clothes and you're no longer needing them or not for the time being, you can send them off and you rent them out and you get paid. I think it's
Oh,
called
it's
My
good one.
Wardrobe HQ. Yeah, one of the companies.
Okay.
um, there's another one called Fat Llama where you can rent out any kind of equipment that you might have. So for example, if you're a photographer and you're not always using your lights and your tripods and things, you can rent that out. If you're, I don't know, really into DIY or something, right, you could rent out that kind of
Okay, that's good to
equipment
know.
and
I
stuff.
actually have not heard of these platforms. That's a good idea.
Yeah, these
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
these are not going to make you a millionaire, but
Yes, yeah, but still something, yeah, like little something helps every
exactly, yeah.
time.
I mean, like, look, maybe if you make like 50 quid or 100 quid a month out of this, you can put that straight into your investment pot, right? And
Exactly.
play around with that money. Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
Obviously, the more serious things are where I talk about utilizing your skills and knowledge. So all of us have some skills or some knowledge, and it doesn't necessarily have to be related to either your business or your job. It can be your passion project as well. So I was working with one client about a month ago, and we discovered that she has this incredible passion for horses, and she's been horse riding and keeping horses since she was a little girl, and she actually has accumulated a lot of material about what it takes to basically everything to do with horse riding. So we talked through it, and she's effectively writing an ebook about what it actually
Amazing.
takes, to own horses and do everything that's related to horse riding. So that's a great way, you publish an ebook and then as people are purchasing it, you're getting income coming in. I don't know, maybe you're good at songwriting. That's another thing, that's basically called royalties, or any other kind of skills that you might have that people might want. You could either create a YouTube channel, and when you get a certain level of subscribers and you get ads through your YouTube channel, that's how you make money. If you're a blogger and you write a blog, you can become an affiliate. You can have affiliate marketing on your website. So let's say if you blog about cooking, you could have other companies selling their cooking equipment through your website, and you get a cut to that. Another way is to utilize your network, which is network marketing, otherwise called social marketing, which is basically you effectively selling products, and different companies do a variety of different products, as well as helping others start the same business, and you get compensated in the form of commissions. Your, I'm just thinking what else. Your investments are also part of passive income, right? So as you grow that investment pot, that can start generating you an income as well. Naturally, when you start with 100 to 100 pounds, the income is probably, like a pound. But as that grows, if you think of it percentage terms, as that grows, you could actually grow it into a very decent income source. Absolutely. And, doing simple things, like if you own a property, and I think was it you who actually said that,
we do Airbnb,
exactly, you do Airbnb. If you own a car and you go traveling, I think in Gatwick there's a service where you can leave your car, and for the duration while you're away, they rent it out to other people. So it's just a matter of, thinking how much time you want to spend on a kind of a side thing, a side hustle. But to be honest, there always is time, I don't know, reduce your Netflix hours and do something
exactly,
instead.
yes.
We always have more time than we think, and a lot of these, that's what passive income is. A lot of these things you don't need to spend full time on. You can fit them into the nooks and crannies of your day. It takes time initially to build them up. You need to record a video, you need to gain the following, but then once you do, then the number of hours that you need to spend on it reduces, but the income that you start getting from it increases. So, it's again, is the planning for the future that comes in mind. Like, unfortunately, nothing in this life is instant. So there's no way to kind of instantly gain lots of income, but there are ways that you can add for the future.
It made me think, as you say, in terms of time you need to invest. To invest, it's about like 80-20 rule you have to apply, right? In the beginning, you might need to spend 80% of the time, but only see that little, like of 20% of the coming back, right? But then the other way around, you will be only investing that little time, but you will be seeing good results. Okay,
Exactly.
those are lots of great ideas there. I really love them. I need to look up of some of them, which I haven't heard about. Okay, so that's great. Like lots of information, lots of knowledge. I imagine lots of people.
Yeah, sorry, that's a lot of, that's a lot
it's
of.
a lot, but personal finance is about it, right? So you have to learn, and I'm sure for people it would be useful, to take it one step at a time, maybe, to firstly look at one part of it, just like starting to actually track their expenses, tracking their incomes, then maybe looking at whatever their future goal is, and so on and so on, and then seeing how they actually want to achieve that goal. So in terms of that, like all of these little bits and pieces, putting this all together, have you got any kind of success formula where you would say, okay, 10% should be here, 5% here, or whatever it might be, if you have any suggestion which summarizes it all?
You know what? I wish there was a formula for that, but to be completely honest, I guess the only formula that I would have is like the fact that, at least 10% of your incoming should be going towards the 2 savings pot, and this does not include your pension. That should be on top, whatever you can contribute to that. And then, to be completely honest, it's really hard to say whether you should be having this much coming from passive income, this much from, regular income. Basically, what you're working towards is getting to 100% of your income coming from passive sources and having 0 debt. That's your effective goal. How you're going to slice it up to get there, it's kind of up to you, because I think for different people at different points in life, it will work differently. But having that goal in mind, that what you want to do is have 0 debt and 100% of your income from as much of passive sources as possible, you're sorted.
Yeah, that's ideal. I like it. I like that goal. I need to write it down in my notes, yeah, for myself. All right, great. No, thank you so much. This was really informative interview. I've got so much information myself, and I'm sure our four of us will get a lot of information from this interview. And it was great to see you again. Yeah, if there
I
is
was so much
anything.
fun chatting to you. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for inviting me, you know, and
Mhm.
I as on Instagram I put out a lot of stuff out there. So for anyone who wants, follow me and you'll get some tips and things to work on. I have a money mindset challenge on at the moment as well, which is completely free if anyone wants
Okay.
to jump in on that to help
Has it
us.
started yet? Has it started yet,
Yeah,
or this challenge? Okay, okay. So
yeah, but it's basically
mhm.
it's up there for 30 days, but people can sign
Mhm.
up as and when. So it's
Okay.
all kind of been done individually. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm here to answer any questions and give tips and kind of
Mhm.
help women get wealthy.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure they will have a lot of questions. Totally.
That's
Yeah,
good.
so for
That's
everyone,
what I
please
love.
go to Indre. Yes, yeah. So for any questions, subscribe to her channel because I always get a lot from your channel or from all of your posts because you always have a lot of information there and all useful. Yeah, and I'm sure we will have
Oh,
future
thank you.
chats maybe about something specific, some specific topics. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Have a good day then.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Olga. You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.